Okay.
So on to the size of groups for
Yeah.
D&D and maybe other TTRPGs.
Yes, onto the topic of the group size that you and your friends play with.
The cats are concerned. By the way, everyone, this video has been recorded in a studio that has an audience of cats. He has gone to acquire a cat, and they have chosen to run away. And then he brings Long Cheeser. But anyways,
All right.
yes.
Let's talk about how big a group can be and what you feel is good. All right. So let's give a range here, I suppose. Because for me, it's a range. For me as a DM, I think that a group of between 2 to 6 is workable. Yes, I could DM for one player, but ideally I probably wouldn't be. I'd have like a little group of friends that I'm DMing for. My ideal wouldn't be that I'm DMing for exactly one person, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 is fine. 3 is my like perfect number. 1 DM, 3 players, that's great. There's when you get bigger than that, much on the bigger end, a lot of times people will be sitting around, maybe getting bored because they're not any kind of focal point for a large period of time, and it can be off-putting to some players, and it can make it difficult to enjoy the game. And I feel like with that nice solid 3 people, you get a really solid amount of engagement all the way around. Everyone can focus on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's way easier for everyone to be in tune or whatnot to the game that's currently progressing. You can still get very, very similar from 4. 5 is stretching it. And at 6, you're pretty much at the max that I'd want to DM for at any given moment. Because past there, you start to diverge into perhaps a mixture of chaos where people can be having fun during the chaos and not chaos where let's say you've got one person is off on their own doing some kind of talking scene and now everyone else who aren't maybe as invested are just having a boring time on their phones, blah blah blah. And you get those moments of people not getting to enjoy or experience even the game with those bigger groups. I wouldn't go over 6, and ideally I wouldn't have exactly 6. 5 and under is generally where I like it. But 6 is where I'd cap at.
Yeah. Oddly enough, almost all our groups are over 6.
I think so.
Yeah. You know how I like to roll this. I like to just establish the foundation and roll from there. For important reference for Dungeons and Dragons and other TTRPG systems, each TTRPG system has its sweet spot in its mechanics and the theme of the system.
I think D&D
So-
plans for 4 or 5.
It's in that 4 to 6 range where it's kind
Yeah.
of where the math is kind of balanced around itself.
Yeah.
When you go below 4 players, you are not going to be able to fill all the common roles or archetypes for all the for the party.
I think that can make for a more interesting time when the party specifically isn't able to deal with a certain side because they don't have that fleshed out in their group.
I agree with that. When you go below, it's important. You sometimes will get these little gaps in the party, and that actually will oftentimes cause the party to have to rethink some things because you might have a situation where you have a party that literally is only spellcasters or midline, and then the party has to adapt strategies for that, or a party might not have a healer or something like that. And when you go over 6 people, you'll oftentimes have a lot of overlap where you have a party where they have like 3 or 4 different people that can heal, and then 3 or 4 people that can also do frontline, and 3 or 4 people that can also do splash damage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 people that can do control, such as hold person or monster, or use debuffs and buffs in the situation, and it becomes very dynamic. And as John pointed out very smartly, when you get to that really large size group, you end up, if you have like a standard 4-hour group,
Yep.
if you have more than 4 players, overall, each player is probably going to get in that group probably 45 minutes of talk time.
I doubt it's even that. I'd estimate closer to 20.
4 players in a group, 4 players and
sorry.
a dungeon master.
Got it.
In 4 hours, they probably have that 30 to 45 minutes of
Sorry.
them.
Sorry.
And then
Wait.
you have the dungeon master in between that.
I must have misheard the number. I thought you were saying like 6 plus 7, 8 players. At that point, I put it like each player has maybe like 20 minutes.
As you go larger from that 4 mark, you shave down the players.
I feel like you shave down like even more because of the fact that there becomes so much more tangents of the group. With more people, it's harder to stay on subject. So it could be like 10 minutes of play for an individual in like a group that size.
Such as you might have a player who like found out something like, oh, there's a new Avatar series coming out. I was going to actually mention that to Matt.
Yep.
Because I roam the internet, all the internet forums.
Yep.
And I like thought, oh my goodness, there's this new series coming out for Avatar called Seven Havens.
And you
it's like 2 books. I was going to like drop that on Matt, but you know.
But you don't want to like tangent the conversation and then it spews off. Even like 5 minutes, when you get so many of those 5 minutes.
And of course, it could be something simple as me saying, hey, Matt, have you heard that there is this new Avatar series called Seven Havens?
Yep.
And then Nate will jump in on that, and Nathan will jump in on that. And instead of just like,
and then I'll say I don't know a lot about Avatar, and then they'll start telling me about Avatar.
And then it just spirals off into something. So as you get a larger and larger groups, the potential for snowballing into tangents becomes greater. Granted that if you have like a group that is a size of 5 or 6 players, you might be able to more easily get away with, say like one person doesn't show up one day, you can continue on with the campaign as is because there's a bit of redundancy in roles at that point.
Especially if you got like 6 or more. You can easily go with 2 or 3 people short.
Yeah. With Dungeons & Dragons, as I said before, it's structured around that 4 to 6 range. So if you go lighter, you have a situation where you have less versatility and you have more versatility at higher levels. When you get below like 1 player or 2 people, you might have a situation where you might actually have to give the players extra magic items or NPC character to help them out. What I like to do, and this has become pretty much standard with a lot of our groups, you remember this? When we have a small group, I'll oftentimes say like, you guys get a free feat each. Everyone gets a free feat. Everyone gets free tough. Automatic.
For small groups.
Yeah, for small groups, just automatically get a free feat right off the bat. Everyone...
Just make them a little more overpowered.
Yep, you get an extra 4 healing potions. Everyone, you happen to get to choose any non-magical armor, even if your starting kit says like you get chainmail, you can have plate mail right off the bat.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Give them some kind of little boon of some kind to generally make their lives easier for the smaller party. Then they'll be fine.
I've been experimenting.
What's your range of preference? Similar to mine, or not necessarily? Not that yours has to be similar, but I'm saying similar to how I defined.
I'm in the case of Dungeons and Dragons, I have to preface this, and this is one of these little fun moments where we sidestep into another system slightly.
Absolutely.
In the case of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, 2014 and 2024, I have a liking for groups between sizes of 5 and 7.
Okay.
Because I am the kind of person who likes to just chuck ridiculously number of monsters at my players, like 36 meanlocks in a cave in a single day, plus a few other things, or armies of goblins, or that scary ass incident with the puppies and the kittens and the babies in the forest. Remember that one?
Yes, I do.
That confused the crap out of Matt.
It did.
It was basically scenario, but it was out. It was a monster out of I think Tome of Beasts 1 or 2 from Kobold Press. I use a lot of other monsters from other monster books from third-party companies. John likes to homebrew a lot of monsters himself.
Here, let's jump into that topic at the end. We'll make an additional video.
But we'll make another video, and you will be right back on you guys with that.
We'll be right back to that. Don't worry.
Yes.
Okay.
But anyways, there's some fun play around because you can be more crazy dynamic with that. With more players, you can have more variety of monsters.
So you're a fan of the bigger groups.
I like, and when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, I like big groups. But when it comes to Call of Cthulhu, I really like my one person, my two people, my three people.
Three would be the highest. We get a Frank.
We got the rare, fascinating Frank.
Oh boy!
You had to mark your magical moment on the calendar, everyone.
Yep.
And Frank has come out of hiding.
I'm gonna zoom in on that moment where he's over there.
But anyways, Fabulous Frank has visited us, so go and get yourself lottery tickets, everyone.
And subscribe.
And subscribe to the channel and share the videos to places on the internet, whether they appreciate it or not.
Yes.
I'm joking.
Everywhere. No.
But anyways, in the case of Call of Cthulhu, I really like having groups that are like that 1 to maybe 4 range, but 3. The
4 is like your cap.
Yeah, because in Call of Cthulhu, you want the players to feel more vulnerable overall, and you want every combat to be a little touchy, scary for the party. It could go really wrong for them very fast if it's just like 1 or 2 players, but in Call of Cthulhu, the goal is to oftentimes take care of the issue as soon as possible before it spirals out of control. From personal experience, a lot of players make a good effort in Call of Cthulhu to defeat their enemies by any means other than running up to them and punching them, or stabbing them or whatever.
Yep.
Call of Cthulhu does have a lot of guns, a lot of Molotov cocktails, all that fun stuff. So at some point I'll probably cover more on this channel of Call of Cthulhu.
Yes, absolutely do so.
Yeah. So, yes.
Okay, so we have a little bit of differing opinions.
Yeah. So when it comes to the size of the groups, as you notice, every tabletop role-playing game system, there is a sweet spot in not just math for the system for balancing, but also consideration of how the system is supposed to be played, the theme of the system, and how the
flow of the game functions.
How the game flows, and how the players feel in the game as they go through it with the various sizes of groups. Some systems have really complex, numerous actions and systems with multiple chaining that naturally causes the requirement of the players to be fewer in number, because if you're playing a system, say like Dungeons & Dragons 2024 or Pathfinder, if you have really large groups, you can end up with, or Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition or something like that, you can have really long combats that go on.
And you only get like 2 rounds of encounter through it, and it's just taking so long because of the amount of players. Then people don't...
And options. Yep. And the same thing goes with levels in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, in both versions. At low levels, you can go through combats very quickly because you have very limited options. options for the same number of players, but as you go up you gain more options,
Yep.
and naturally as the player gains more options, they are going to take longer to decide on what they're going to do in
I don't
combat.
know if you've noticed, I consistently try and know exactly what I'm going to do when it gets to my turn. So my turn is just bop, 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 done.
Yeah, I generally try to do that myself as well. However, sometimes it's complicated. It's one of
If
those things.
the turn before you, some kind of pivotal thing happens,
Yeah.
and that throws off your
Yeah.
plan, you're like, 1 second.
It's really easy if you're playing like a rogue or a fighter, or say like a barbarian, or even a limited spellcaster or a half caster,
I mean, I do it pretty
Like
good with
a-
my sorcerer.
like a warlock or something like that, or a sorcerer. If you have like a theme or something that you know that your character is naturally prone to doing certain things, that it'll be faster. But if you're playing some character like a cleric or a druid or a wizard that has a ton of tools, your character is supposedly really smart, they have a lot of options. You can wild shape, use your channel divinities, use different spells. It slows everything down way more, and generally as you go up in levels you gain more options, and that becomes more and more the case. As systems like Call of Cthulhu, even though I gave a like 1 to 3 range, or even as high as 4 range, that's largely because I've only ever ran Call of Cthulhu for incomplete groups of D&D groups, where I'm like we're normally
Yeah.
saying in a D&D group, 3 of our people are not available today. I guess I'm going to pull out Edge of Darkness and
Yeah.
send the players through that. And usually at that time, I usually only have 2 or 3 players to go
because
through.
you were down that many from D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my entire experience ranges in that. However, learning that the range of options might be way more restricted in the case of Call of Cthulhu. Like you only have a few weapons and a few other options. It might be overall faster, so it might be have the range of growth where you can actually cram in more players into it. However, I do feel that it goes against the theme of Call of Cthulhu, where you instead of like more of a horror investigation theme, it's more like Scooby-Doo and the Gang kind
Yeah.
of situation. And I don't know 100% if that's exactly what every player who wants to play Call of Cthulhu wants. But
Yeah, I'm sure there's
I'm
a
damn well
anomaly.
sure. I know that I've had multiple players, including this guy, who Scooby-Doo the crap out
2 people.
with 2 people. Yes. I ran them through Paper Chase, and that was a fun time. And because they literally defeated or got to the end without actually ever really confronting the person or the being
And
that
we
was
got
involved.
so much evidence.
Yes.
My God, we filled our suitcases with evidence every chance we got.
They were thieves. They stole
Evidence! We are investigators solving crime.
Yep. So
There might be fingerprints on this.
there might be fingerprints on the vase you took.
The bookend. It might be made of gold. 1 sec, there might be fingerprints on this.
Yes. Slide the door shut.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, the system, the complexity of the system might drive the sweet range for the game master. It might also be your experience with the system. It could be the theme or the environment in which the system plays in. They can change where that your sweet spot is for that system. I would probably surmise that some systems I might have to like lower my ideal number of players down to a substantial number just because it requires so much math or something.
Especially if, let's say, not that this is speaking to like every situation, but if you're broadening your horizons and trying different games, it makes way more sense to run a smaller party in that scenario. Like if you're trying Call of Cthulhu, right? As a DM, you don't want to like run it for 6 players your first time. No, same deal with D&D.
Or GURPS or Shadowrun or
Yeah.
Cyberpunk Red or anything like that. Those are all on my lists of things I might want to try to get other people to try out and play. I still have other things ahead of that list. Is to get together and find time for players to play. I still have to finish off all that work on that Pathfinder one.
Yes. All right. I've got maybe a little more, but I think I'm good on it. To add on group size, do you have any last minute things?
No, I think I'm pretty much there.
Okay. Yeah, we both my upper end is your like that's perfect, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Different people have different preferences on that. That's okay. All right. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that nonsense.
Yeah, stick the video away in a nice little playlist list for future references. It's always handy as a dungeon master if you have a YouTube channel or a YouTube account to create your little playlists and stuff away like the broken builds that people come up with online, the monster scenarios, puzzle research, stuff like that. And so you can quickly just go back to it and watch it for future references. So there you go.
Well, you guys have a great day.
Yep.